Hi, I'm David Fleming from Disciples Ignited, where we are focused on Jesus, advancing his kingdom, and preparing his disciples. Now, we started this new series on studying the Bible, and right now we're studying the book of Hosea. And in yesterday's video, we talked about how God raised up a prophet named Hosea to exemplify God's love for his people. Let me read to you what God told Hosea to do. Hosea chapter 1 verse 2 tells us, "When the Lord began to speak through Hosea, the Lord said to him, 'Go, marry a promiscuous woman.'" Now, that's how the NIV translates it. Many other translations just put it out there because the Hebrew literally means prostitute. And so the Lord said, "Go marry a prostitute and have children with her. For like an adulterous wife, this land is guilty of unfaithfulness to the Lord." Now, I'll tell you, this passage has had much debate around it. Many people interpret it many different ways. In fact, the Jews of the medieval times said that this is nothing but a made-up story. This is an allegory because God would never tell his people to go marry a promiscuous woman. That's against the law. And so they said this is just a made-up story. And then there are those that say, well, this is more than an allegory. This is speaking of the spiritual state of Hosea's wife. Gomer's infidelity was spiritual in that she was probably a worshiper of idols. So this is speaking of the spiritual state of her heart. Don't quite agree with that. I must agree with many who say that this is a literal event that took place. God told a prophet to go marry a prostitute. Now, that is difficult to stomach for many. But listen, if the word of God can be taken literally, then that's exactly how we need to take it. Now, there are some passages, for instance, many passages in the book of Revelation that are symbolic in meaning. But listen, if you can take it literally, that's exactly what you must do to start off with. Now, those who take this literally, we understand that Gomer was a prostitute. Now, even those that take this literally, they say, well, I don't believe that she was a prostitute to begin with, that she became a prostitute after Hosea married her. But the word of God is very clear on that too. He said, the Lord said, go marry a prostitute. So that's how we must take it. But the example that God made, the marriage of Hosea and Gomer, as a prophetic object lesson of God's love for his people, goes beyond just their relationship. It even carried on into their children. Listen to this. The first son that they had together, the Lord said, name him Jezreel. Now, that might not mean anything to us, but let me tell you what the Lord said. Name him Jezreel, because I will soon punish the house of Jehu for the massacre of Jezreel. So the Lord is really pointing his people to that which took place at Jezreel. And God says, listen, I'm going to punish you just as the house of Jehu was punished in Jezreel. Wow, can you imagine having a name like that? But it went on. The second child was a daughter, and the Lord said, name her Lu-Rahama, which means literally not loved. Oh, what a name. But God is trying to impress upon his people, listen, I have loved you overwhelmingly, but you, through your actions, are putting you in a place to where I'm going to have to reject you, and you are going to be judged. And then the third child, which was a son, was named Lo-Ami, which means not my people. Y'all, the book of Hosea is a book expressing great love, but it also expresses great judgment. There's so much to be learned. See you tomorrow.